Welcome. I'm Bruce White, President of Sterling Systems. I've recently received my first BLK360 Generation 2 scanner, and I was eager to put it to a test run, and this video is a result of that initial test. Before we get on with the project, let's talk about a few of the new features of the BLK360 Generation 2 laser scanner. When we look at the Generation 2 scanner, it's Generation 1 with all the requests that all the clients wanted, and they implemented most of them. So when we compare Generation 1 to Generation 2, the capture speed is about 5 times faster. The laser itself is 2 times faster, but the fact that we're taking photos and the scan at the same time really cut down that time. Generation 1 had a 3-bracket HDR camera, and Generation 2 has a 5-bracket. So the colors are much better represented. When we take a look at scan quality, we're going from 6 millimeters of error to 4 millimeters of error, 30% reduction, and it's pretty significant. One of the biggest things you'll see is the Generation 2 gets much better returns on darker objects than Generation 1 did. Let's take a look at the Viz system. The Viz system was designed for the RTC 360 and just does a fantastic job of tracking from one setup to another, and quite honestly, I'm shocked that they put it in here. But let's take a look at as we do a little demonstration of how well it tracks. This gentleman just completed one scan and is going to move to a second location. On the right hand side in Field 360, you can see the icon of where he's standing, and as soon as he sets it down, the software already knows where it's at, so basically registration is done even before the scan. We're going to take it off the tripod now, and you can watch as he walks through the office. He's going to basically do a kind of a square and come back to the starting point of the tripod, and you'll see that the scanner tracks itself all the way through, and when he gets back to the tripod and puts it on, the icon will be flashing right where it's supposed to be. There it is. So another request, the scanner, the G2 scanner and Field 360 now communicate and share the same information. So any constraints that you make in Field 360 will get copied over to the scanner, and you can download either one into Register 360, whatever's most convenient. Talking about data transfers, is one of the biggest complaints in Generation 1 was it had to be via Wi-Fi, so the transfer was really slow. Now we have a USB-C transfer rate that's 9 times as fast. The data storage is much larger on the G2. So it can even put in 1,500 scans. And it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, 20% smaller and 20% lighter, until you hold it in your hand. And it's shocking how much smaller it feels. So originally when the Generation 1 came out, the primary data collection tool was Autodesk Recap Pro. That product has essentially been dropped after Leica came out with Cyclone Field 360 because it's a much better data collection platform. And that's what we continue to use today as it continues to be developed. The primary processing software will be Cyclone Register 360, either the BLK edition or the full edition. Up on the top, you've got Field 360 on the left and the scanner on the right. They transfer data back and forth, so essentially you have two copies of the data right in the field. And then when you bring it back into Register 360, you can download whichever one is most convenient for you. If we look at what actually ships with the base product, I really like that charger there because it holds 4 batteries. As opposed to the Gen 1 that only held 1. And everything there, with the exception of the charger, fits in that little bombshell case. As you'll see in the next slide, we'll open up that and take a look at it. It does ship with 3 batteries now. So there's space for 2 batteries and then the battery in the scanner during transport. And then you can see the USB case and everything fits in that bombshell case.
An introduction to the project. This is the photo of the back of the lake house that we'll be scanning along with the property that it's on. If you take a look at the final point cloud, you can see the house there and the lake, the approach road, and all the trees that surround. So if we do a little bit of rotation here, you can see the quite elderly trees that create all kinds of shade for this property. This entire project I collected in 37 minutes and 45 seconds in the field. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on essentially a cut plane, chop off some of those trees a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. We'll zoom in and do a little rotation here. And if we take a look at the house, we can see all the different rooms and even the basement at the moment. And the rest of the property going all the way down to the lake and to the dock. Okay, so let's get this project started. I'm going to be showing 2 screens. That's they're synced, so you can see what's going on the screen on my tablet that I'm holding in my hands and also where I'm walking. So we're going into Field 360 right now. We're creating a job. I'm going to go ahead and call it Lake House. Then we're going to take a photo that as a thumbnail for the project so that it's easier to identify later. So we go into the camera on the iPad, point it wherever we want, and take whatever shot is appropriate. Then we're going to enter the project and hit the scanner icon. Pause for a moment and go over the details of the primary scanning menu. This is the main screen of Field 360. There's several different areas on it. At the top, you have Map 360 in 3D. Over on the side, you have a number of options we'll cover later. And then at the bottom, you have the actual items that you want to go into. Important 3 things are at the bottom, and I just hit the most left button, which starts a scan.
This will bring up the main scanning menu that has 3 different options: the photograph, the actual starting of the scan, and then the level of detail of the scan. Select where it says LDR, that'll get us into the photograph menu. We can either turn photographs off, low density photos, or high dynamic range photos, your choice. HDR will take quite a bit more space. For the speed of demonstration here, we'll leave the LDR on and then exit out of the menu. We're going to use the third icon, which is the point density. There'll be 4 different settings here. Let's say ultra low at 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters at 10 meters. Low, which is 25 by 25. The next is 12 millimeters by 12 millimeters, and the highest is 6 millimeters by 6 millimeters at 10 meters. For this project, we're going to use LDR photos along with the second highest density, which I generally refer to as medium. Once we get those settings done, basically what we can do is hit the big play button. And you can see on the tablet it's giving me the information as it starts to scan. And it's just about done with the photos and the scan. So now I'm going to pick it up and move it to its next location. And you can see on the tablet, as I start walking, the icon of the location moves. So that's the viz system that's showing us exactly where it's going. I've set it down. It already knows where the scanner is. And we start it. We basically just hit the play button if we don't want to change any settings. And it goes ahead and starts the scan. In the screen there, you can see my lovely video assistant who is doing the video for this project. While the scanner is scanning, it blinks yellow. So the LED at the bottom tells us quite a bit, whether it's ready, whether the viz is tracking its location, whether it is in the middle of the scan or it's complete. It'll go to green, a solid green, when it's complete, as it is now. I'll pick up the scanner and move to the next location, and you'll see on the tablet in just a moment that it again is tracking my location. So as soon as I set it down, it's pretty much registered. And then we'll just hit play again for it to start the scan. Third scan has now come in, and it's time to start creating constraints between some of the different scans. So what we'll do is we'll go down and select Start Alignment and pick our second setup that we want to align. And it's going to pre-align it for us. And then it's going to go to a screen that shows one scan in one color, one scan in another color. And we just want to check and rotate them as needed, and then hit Optimize and Create Link, and that will create a constraint. And then we'll put the third scan, constrain it to the second in the same manner.
This one didn't align automatically quite as well, so I've got to move it around a little bit and use the circle to do a little rotation. And if I select the blue, then I can just move that whole scan as needed, just like this. A little more rotation and a little bit more move, and now we're set to go ahead and optimize and create that link again. Almost there. Optimize, create link, and that is completed. That's the basic collection procedure for the BLK360 Generation 2. Set it up, set your density, set your photo, press the play button. Make sure your viz system is on so it tracks as you move, and when the next scan comes in, create that constraint if you want. If you want, you can skip the whole constraint and do it back in the office in the software too. But since it's repetitive right now, I'm going to save some time and fast forward through the rest of the setups, which are just repeats of the same. I go all the way down to the lake, and then I come into the house and do the upper floor and the bottom basement. And as I said, the entire process, it's taken longer in the video because I'm doing pauses, but the entire process was 37 minutes and 45 seconds of field data collection. We're going to pause again and take a look at the 360 tab up at the top. Okay, so now we are in the 360 tab, and we can look at the photo that was taken from the scanner and get good perspective. If we move over to the 3D tab, you can see that we can take a look at a single scan or the entire bundle, zoom and pan and rotate to make sure that we're getting the data we want, and then we'll get back to collecting all our data now. Now that we've collected all our 23 setups, you can see them in Field 360. They're all there. They're all basically registered together. The only thing that we're going to have to do is bring it in Reg 360 and close some loops. And we can select on any setup and pan around and see all the images. In the upper left-hand corner, we can change what those images look like, or use a slider bar on HDR to adjust essentially the aperture or brightness. And if we go over to the 3D tab again and we select the entire bundle, then we can see our entire project on the screen and rotate and pan and zoom, etc. Remember that this is only about 1% of the data that it actually collected, but it is nice to be able to see whether I got everything. Let's take a look at the data as we import it into Leica Register 360. I won't go into a detailed demonstration of that. I've done it a number of times, and I'll probably do a dedicated video just for Register 360 soon. Process the data in Register 360, and as you can see, the file's complete. All the constraints came in, and we can click on any setup that we want again and take a look at the entire point cloud. Double click on one and we can teleport there. And here we're looking at both the point cloud and the photo. We could turn one on, one off if we wanted. We can go back to the sitemap and switch over to TrueView, or I'm sorry, TrueSlicer, which is good for QA/QC. Each setup gets its own color, and we can make the thickness of the slice really small and move that slice up and down to take a look, make sure everything connects well, and just doing a QA/QC on our data.
We can flip on its side and take a look at it in section view. I'll go ahead and turn off the setups and the network so it doesn't get in the way, but just using the slider to get into the house. And there we've got a section view of the house. We can adjust it to wherever we want. And you can see everything lines up really well. And that concludes the demonstration of the new BLK360 Generation 2 from Leica. I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. If you have any questions, just call or email me. And if don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Have a great day.